Today, I'm going to show you how I currently program for my upper body training while also training for a half Ironman and an ultra marathon. What does my upper body day look like as a more hybrid style athlete now? So on Tuesdays, I train upper body and an easy run. My easy run is currently up to about 8K and easy pace. That's about 5 miles. I'm averaging about the 6 to 6 minutes 30 per kilometer. Let's discuss the main topic of the video, which is the upper body training while also training for triathlons and ultra marathons. So first things first is what session goes first on my Tuesday. At the moment where it's very dark when I wake up, so around that 4 a.m, I've decided to put my strength training in the morning before my first client of the day at 6 a.m. And then I get my running later on in the day. When the mornings start to get a little bit brighter, I'll probably switch that around because I do like to get my cardio done first thing in the morning. But at the moment, it's just safer and just a bit more convenient to do my strength training first thing in the morning. So what does the session actually look like? So one of my this year was to stay powerlifting strong. So that means I need to maintain my strength in the bench press as much as I can while my body weight drops down. I'm looking at keeping my total at around 600 kilos or above across the 3 lifts. So my bench press really wants to stay around that 140 kilo mark as a minimum. Now, by exposing myself regularly to these top end weights means when I switch back to a more powerlifting focused block, it's not going to be such a shock to the body because I've been lifting continuously throughout my training as heavy as I can, still within those lower rep ranges. So over a 3-week cycle, in week 1, I build to a heavy 5. In week 2, I build to a heavy 3. And in week 3, I build to a heavy 1. At the moment, I'm not doing any back off sets based off of this top number, but I'll see how I feel as this prep progresses and as I get more comfortable with the volume from the endurance training and the lifting and see how I respond to 1 or 2 back off sets. The goal with this is to hopefully make sure I maintain or even slightly build strength while my body weight is dropping and while also I'm increasing the volume in other areas in my endurance training. So what I can do is I can use these weekly numbers as a benchmark to see how my strength is maintaining, or if it's deteriorating, is it a deterioration I'm willing to accept? Or if not, how can I rectify that loss of strength? So in today's session, I built to a heavy 3 bench press because this is week 2 of my current program. Now I will look to push to like some RPE 9, so that's a 9 out of 10 on effort on each of these weeks. So I do want to be kind of leaving it out there in these sessions, but I do want to make sure I'm confident going into each lift so that I don't hit failure, because that is the goal. I don't want to hit failure, but I want to get very close. So then I move into some gymnastics or body weight movements. And what I've chosen to do is a vertical push and pull. So I'm doing chin-ups and dips. And because I'm trying to make sure that these sessions are under 45 minutes, I do superset these. However, I do know that if I did them separately, I probably would eke out a few extra reps. But for me, I'm more time bound, so I'm happy to maybe lose a rep or 2 at this moment in time. Now, there are 3 reasons why I've chosen chin-ups and dips. Number 1 is muscle endurance, because muscle endurance hasn't really ever been a massive strength of mine over the years. So it's something that I think I can really get a lot of bang for buck. And also, while I drop body weight, I should be able to accrue more volume as well because there'll be less stress going through my joints and my muscles. Point number 2 is I like to use these exercises through their fullest range of motion to really help promote some joint health while also helping with my overhead mobility. Exposing my joints to their end ranges will not only help with joint health due to the exposure in their shortened and their fully lengthened positions, but also it will help me with my overhead mobility. Now, I don't have an issue really at the moment with getting my arms overhead, and when it comes to swimming, I want to make sure that my mobility is never the issue, as my ability to actually swim is the issue rather than my mobility to get my arms overhead. And lastly, point number 3 is it's a proper decent pump. When you're doing chin-ups and you're doing dips, it's a full upper body pump, so it's a really nice superset to kind of get you going into your session. Now, talking about the pump, this is now where we carry on the rest of the session, and the rest of the session is now a bit more of a like bodybuilding focus, just kind of chasing the pump, taking my joints and muscles through big, large ranges of motion, just again for making myself feel good, but also hopefully look good in the process, because there's going to be no noodle arms here when it comes to race day. So my first superset is a back and triceps superset. So this is going to be some single arm dumbbell rows and some cable pushdowns. Now, over the first 3 weeks, the cable pushdowns are my staple tricep exercise, and in the second 3-week block, that tricep exercise will change. So I'm using dumbbell rows for my back exercise. So I'm getting some horizontal pulling, I'm getting my shoulder blades to move through a nice full range of motion, and also getting a good pump in my back. And with these in particular, I do like to let my torso have a little bit of rotation. As I said, to let my scapulars move so they can move across my rib cage relatively freely. Also help my mid back, that T-spine area, feel relatively free. Again, so when it comes to swimming, there is no restrictions there due to any tightness. So I should be able to freely move in my stroke from side to side when I have to. Now, with the tricep pushdowns, I do like to think about locking my elbows in and driving down towards the floor rather than pulling down towards my thighs. For me, I find I get a much better contraction in my triceps rather than kind of doing a slight pull and push. I keep it a lot more in the back of my arms rather than also going into my lats. So my cue there to think about is think about my palm driving down to the floor. Now, lastly, to finish off a complete upper body session, you have to do some biceps and some abs. I'm using cable curls for this first block, and I've chosen to do a plank because isometric holds are a massive weakness of mine. And for me, if I think about things like running and swimming, being able to hold your torso in a certain position for a long duration is kind of key to the discipline. So for me, I see it as an exercise which I should get quite a lot of bang for buck from. As a side note, as if any of you know what this issue is, but I've had it for years. When I do any direct ab work, especially any type of crunching type motion, but sometimes when I do things like planks, as I did here, I cramp up really badly in my abs to the point where you can see essentially like it looks like my ab has popped out and I have to stretch it back to kind of release it. So if any of you guys know what this is, or maybe if it happens to you, put it in the comment section down below and let me know, because it's something I've never known anyone to be able to tell me what it is. So it's always restricted me doing direct ab work because I cramp up so quickly and it's so painful that I physically cannot move. Now, you might be asking yourself, is this session enough to build strength and build muscle? Now, if I was just looking to build strength and muscle, there would be more volume in this session. As I mentioned earlier, I'd probably have back offsets in my bench press. I'd probably do a few extra exercises, and I'd probably do a few extra sets over the sessions. But what I have to understand at the moment is I've turned down the dial for my strength training and I've turned up the dial for my endurance training. I think Fergus Crawley put it really well in one of his videos recently where he discussed about balancing lifting with running. And he says about how hybrid training is about optimizing the suboptimal and to find the minimum effective dose to get the maximal effective return. So as I said, I've turned down my strength dial and on a bit of a maintenance phase or a slight build, and I've turned up my endurance phase because that's where all my focus is at the moment, because it's an area which I need to improve upon more than I do with my strength training. I personally feel that this type of session is helping me move the needle ever so slightly forward each session and keep me on track towards my overarching goals, while also not taking away too much of my energy that I'm going to need for my endurance sessions. And I feel the volume is just enough to stimulate the muscles rather than necessarily annihilate them each time I'm coming into the gym. Since I'm only training 3 times a week, I want to make sure I'm getting the most out of these sessions. So exercise selection is key to make sure I get the most out of them and make sure they're keeping me on track to my overarching goals. Now, if you're a strength athlete already, diving into the world of endurance as well, since I know there are many people doing this online now, and I'm one of them, making sure you're not just doing 100% of one program and then your normal 100% of your lifting program. You can't put them together, otherwise that's going to equal 200%. That quote is pretty much ingrained within my mind from when I've heard Fergus Crawley say that many times. Now, I keep relating back to Fergus Crawley because he's been doing this hybrid athlete stuff for a good while. Him and Nick Bear are two people that kind of got me interested in this side of training. And then seeing Fergus lift as well, since he comes from a powerlifting background, I could relate really well to that. So he's a bit of a role model for me to see, okay, what is possible? And he's achieved some massive feats. So to see what he can do, it gives me inspiration to think, what can I achieve? And just like they gave me inspiration, hopefully I give you inspiration and help you think about maybe including a bit more endurance training within your strength training, or even vice versa. Maybe you're an endurance athlete and you're looking to add in some more strength training into your training. But as a summary, for me, this upper body session is a really good one. You're in and out in 45 minutes, get a good pump, take my joints through large ranges of motion, get a good strength stimulus. Now, if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, I would love to hear it in the comment section down below. So drop a message down there, or if there's any other videos that you'd like me to maybe do, put any ideas down there and I'll be sure to look at them and hopefully look to maybe film a couple of them as well. So if you do want to keep up to date with all my training and how things are going, be sure to subscribe. And if you want to leave a cheeky thumbs up on the video, it'd really be appreciated because it's going to really help get my videos out there. So as always, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Right, done.